Okay, can I say my favorite? You just retweeted U.S. grants Chevron narrow or the authorization to keep assets in Venezuela, and you just said #taco.
Yeah.
That's apparently really. Do you ever that? What do we call that?
Boink.
Yeah. Wait, it does it. How
You must
much
point.
pleasure does it give you that that's really bothering him? The taco thing. Donald Trump really doesn't like it.
Here's the great part. It's true on two fronts. On the first end, it's just true. He does. He always flips out, and it's usually the people around him, very respected people, came highly recommended, and he doesn't listen to them first. And then when the polls or something goes south, then he starts listening to them and rescinds whatever he's doing. So he always chickens out in that regard.
Yeah.
But the other part is that there is a really essential part of both his foreign policy and his economic policy, which is that we don't have the power he thinks we do, and other people don't have to just take it.
Thank you. Well,
so it's a huge surprise to him, apparently.
The madder he is, the happier I get. Is that bad? It's so not like Joe
Listen, I don't need him to feel motivated to not back down from tariffs. I like him backing down.
He apparently had not heard the term and was caught off guard. He thought the reporter was calling him a chicken, one official said.
Yep.
He vented frustrations to his team following the exchange. He was not only irked by the term, but also his team's failure to tell him.
They shield him from
to tell him
the
that he's a
news.
laughingstock?
They
Okay.
shield him
Yep.
from reality,
They do.
Jake Tapper.
They said he's not a guy who looks kindly on weakness, so the idea anyone would think that with respect to his actions wasn't received well. Oh, it made baby extra colicky. That's I don't know why that makes me happy. Well, this is the latest.
Oh, get used to it.
This is
because that's going to be happening everywhere. If you haven't noticed, he wasn't able to solve Russia-Ukraine with a phone call.
No.
And that's
but Zelensky.
But we only have two
all right,
more weeks.
We'll get to that
we only
in a
got
second.
2 more weeks.
Yeah, but Zelensky did have some cards, as it turns out. You live in Vegas. I mean,
Yeah.
Turns out he had
he had chips, he had cards, he had dice, he's got all kinds of options.
And drones. Drones from Biden.
Yeah, let's get to Ukraine in a second. But so Trump announced Friday he will set tariffs on steel imports into the U.S. at 50%, double their current rate. He said he did that to protect the steel workers, which it won't do. Then the EU immediately, said it's prepared to impose retaliatory measures against Trump's latest threat on steel and aluminum. He said this decision adds further uncertainty to the global economy, increases costs for consumers and businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. The tariff increase also undermines ongoing efforts to reach a negotiated solution. In good faith, the EU paused its countermeasures on April 14th to create space for continued negotiations. The EU is prepared to impose countermeasures, including in response to the latest U.S. tariff. I mean, here we go again. Lather, rinse, repeat. He wanted to look tough in front of the steel workers. He was mad because people were calling him a chicken and using the taco thing, right?
Yeah.
And now,
Yep.
right.
And, well, there's no. Here's the problem he has. There is no out on this. There is no way to dial it back to anything sensible because a reasonable, a targeted. Going after steel in particular, the president has a lot of rights to do if they're dumping. But because he's got all these other tariffs, he has no leverage to manage the existence of the steel tariffs because he's got nothing to weigh it against. He doesn't have anything to protect the economy. Like in the first term, he was like, "I bailed out the farmers. I had this thing," because he had this. How do I say this on radio? Matriculation match with China, and he was able to buy off the farmers because the rest of the tariffs didn't exist. It was just normal. It was about 2.5% like there were with everything else and a couple of targeted things. But when you do everything all at once, and then you try to have a spot tariff fight over any particular thing, it erases the value and or strength of the entire thing and makes it a bunch of blather. And it also specifically makes it illegal. And this is why the SCOTUS is going to rule against it, because this Emergency Powers Act he's using does not work. It does not make any sense. There is no justification. We are not in an emergency. We are the biggest economy in the world. Of course, we're going to buy more stuff from other people than they buy from us.
Countries around the world understand our system better than he does.
But
they're like, no, that's illegal, and the courts are going to stop it.
It's a smokescreen, so we don't talk about the fact that Joe Biden would not sell U.S. steel to the Japanese, and Donald Trump, who has hated the Japanese with a racist fervor since the 80s, just did. And he's pretending it was a merger, not a sale. But they are selling U.S. steel to Nippon, which Donald Trump can't pronounce, and it's like selling the Liberty Bell to IKEA and saying it's like giving your neighbor your car and your car registration information and the keys, but it's still mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hal, you brought up Ukraine.
Right.
It's so delicious. Who is this? MM says Ukraine destroyed a significant number of Russia's bomber fleet, and Putin's little soft taco didn't know about it. Hashtag delicious.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, I just
They did a drone swarm at 3 different air bases, and there was this alleged part of it where there was a drone swarm that attacked Putin's helicopter. Was the story that the Kremlin was telling? Like they were going after him personally, like it was an assassination attempt.
Oh, please.
Boo effity who, because that's what they've been trying to do with not just Ukrainian leaders, but world leaders for a very long time. They don't have any compunction about snuffing people in parks in Germany or the UK or anywhere else for that matter.
Well,
so yawn.
Yeah,
I'm against murder, but-
Lyle says one of the most daring military ops in modern history. Over 40 Russian aircraft, bombers, AWACS, strategic warplanes obliterated or crippled deep inside Russian territory at their most secure airbase, planned in total secrecy for 18 months, personally overseen by Zelensky, disassembled drones hidden in wooden crates, trucked in under Moscow's nose, reassembled on site, launched from within. This is what heroism looks like in the 21st century. Zelensky is him, Slava Ukraini.
Makes me want to give a military parade to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is part and parcel of what I was saying before about Trump not being able to recognize that the rest of the world will move on without the United States if they have to. We've just always been the big brother of choice in the good sense for a long time because of our resources and because of our advanced nature, because of our fight with the USSR, quite frankly, for decades, that made us have to create such a great fighting system, as it were. But there, the EU plus other countries plus the Ukrainians themselves are just so resilient and so smart and having to because they were invaded by a larger army with a lot more people until they ran out and had to start borrowing them from North Korea and Iran, and then throwing their own immigrants in there. And if they don't die there, they fight their way back and then they get kicked out of the country. Isn't that adorable? No wonder Trump likes him. But this is where Trump can't picture that other countries have options. Other countries have options. Like everybody's a trophy wife to him that needs a green card. And without him, they have to go back to wherever they came from. And it doesn't work like that. It never really did, but it certainly doesn't now.
And thank you for your commentary on the mainstream media, basically. You retweeted New York Times, who said, disillusioned and distanced from President Trump. Elon Musk says he's ending his government work. And you said, off New York Times, he failed. Good Lord. Right?
Yeah.
Musk announces his failure. He will now leave his job as a government bigot and go back to being a douchebag, second-generation, rich kid civilian bigot. I mean, not to mention that they spent more than they saved, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he can turn $2 trillion into $10 billion and then add $4 trillion to the deficit.
So also we asked John, who has
5.6 trillion. By the way, they were going easy.
Yeah.
You and John both have sons, so we must also ask you: do you regularly ask your son to punch you in the face? Because we don't know. I don't know how this...
Yeah, no. My kid is raised right, so he wouldn't. Even if I did,
what?
He'd go this. My kid would go, "This is a trick, kung fu."
Yeah,
and he's right. But,
my kid punches me in the face all the time, but only because of the way I treat his mother, Grimes.
Again. Does anybody really think that he got punched in the face, or is this just a ketamine collapse?
Well, I mean, no, he was punched in the face by a child, but the child may have been Stephen Miller. How?
That's right. Yeah, over his wife leaving. And again, you called it a throuple, Steph. A throuple? Oh God.
No.
First of all, you can only call it a throuple if there's one person involved in it that everybody else would be interested in them having sex somehow. It's got to seem like positive in some way or whatever. This is the anti-Reese's cup of sexuality. Like, whatever's happening here was an accident no one wanted if these people are together.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
Chocolate and mayonnaise.
It's like when you get rear-ended on the 405 by accident. It's just like, this. I didn't wait. I didn't ask for that.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me end on before we break here. We have you for the hour, but I love your happy clappiness, as you know. You said even though Trump is the most corrupt president in history and the entire GOP does nothing but enable him, everything he is doing will still crash and burn, because he is and always has been a up. Never underestimate Trump's ability to up a free lunch.
Yeah.
And that's true.
You can see it coming, whether it's the crypto stuff, Like, he's getting into crypto right in time for quantum to untangle everybody's wallet. He got into, like, the Trump Media Technology Group business when there were already 6 right-wing news sources out there to compete with. None of it has any value, and it's all going to come crashing down. He didn't get smarter because he got reelected. People got dumber for reelecting him.
Yep.
And his plans aren't going to work.
Yep.
There's a nagging suspicion in people's brains that it might possibly work and the tariffs might they're not going to.
No president's
you can't
tanked
legislate gravity.
Right. No president's tanked in the polling this quickly into their term. I mean, it's you know.
Trump did the first time, but he's doing worse now.
Yes, he is. He's outdoing his first.
Which is amazing.